Hello, Jake and I are back real quick on a Friday discussing the Milwaukee Bucks acquisition of Sergey Baka at the trade deadline yesterday, sending Dante DiVincenzo to the Sacramento Kings again, and sending Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye to the Clippers. And then we just want to kind of throw out some potential buyout candidates. It's a big topic of conversation. Who can the Bucks get in buyout? And Jake and I are going to throw a handful of names out there to potentially watch, especially now that Pat Connaughton is going to miss, from what I've seen, 3 to 6 weeks based on his injury. Pat Connaughton's a freak, so if he gets through his physical therapy, maybe he could be on the shorter end of that. But I'm gonna count on 3 to 6, and then Jake and I are just gonna throw some names out there that could potentially help the Bucks. But we're gonna start with the Bucks acquiring Sergey Baka. Jake, what did you think of the trade deadline deal that the Bucks pulled off?
That was a great deal. I mean, me and you have been talking about the last couple of days now. I mean, Air Congo, you can't go wrong with that nickname. That's a great nickname. Air Congo, Sergey Baka. I mean, he's got a number of great nicknames from his OKC days that just have followed him. But he's got the name Air Congo and Sergey Baka because he used to be able to get up. He doesn't have those same ups anymore, but he can still block shots. He still competes for rebounds. He's long. He's a versatile defender. You can put him at the 4 or 5. He can stretch the floor. He's a 38% three-point shooter. So you have a guy that can stretch the floor like that. Me and you talk about it all the time. Why Brook Lopez fits so well in this offense, because he stretches the floor. Bobby has been shooting out of his mind this year, over 40%. So you have a guy, imagine coming off the bench with Bobby and Air Congo. I'm just going to call him Air Congo forever now. You have both of those guys together coming off the bench. You have two guys that don't back down from anybody, shoot the three at a very high rate. 38% is very good for a big man. That's pretty good for a guard, honestly.
That's like 3% higher than Brook Lopez is the last couple of years. So
Right. I mean, and look how important he is. But then you have guys that compete for rebounds. I mean, you're getting everything. Two guys that were looked at as undersized, but they play bigger than they are, in my opinion. So I thought it was a great move. Plus, the thing that was really important is getting the money. The money considerations. That was the biggest part for me. The 2 second rounders, they could flip that into another trade if they want to next year
dude,
or year after that. I mean,
the second rounders, I think, is a really underrated part of that deal. And I saw somebody ask, like, oh, why are they going for second rounders? They're just going to draft nobodies and use the second round picks. Let me just remind you, just this past offseason, that the Bucks used 2 second rounders and Sam Merrill, literally the last pick in the draft, to acquire Grayson Allen.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that 3 second round picks that they used to acquire Grayson Allen. They now have 3 second round picks. They still have Nora on the roster who they could use in a potential trade discussion, and they picked up Serge Ibaka. What the Bucks absolutely needed last night in Phoenix's game was they needed big men. They didn't have any big men except for Greg Monroe and Bobby Portis. And that's no defense, honestly. Bobby's improved, but I mean, he's not ready to go toe to toe with DeAndre Ayton in the paint. That being said, a couple other things with Serge Ibaka. Firstly, just using last night as an example for the Bucks needing another big man. Phoenix scored 68 points in the paint.
That's not good.
That's way too many. Secondly, they turned 9 offensive rebounds into 21 second chance points.
Yeah. They killed us on the boards, really.
What's up, James? We're just talking about the Bucks a little bit. The other thing that I want to mention with Serge Ibaka before we talk about buyouts is he's got a lot of playoff experience. Serge Ibaka is a guy who is instantly going to be part of the playoff rotation. He'll be backing up Brook Lopez and potentially Bobby Portis, depending on how they work their rotations and stuff. But Serge Ibaka won a championship with the Raptors the year that they knocked the Bucks out. He's played in 146 postseason games. He's played in 27 postseason series, and he's 18-9 in postseason series. So he's a winner. He knows how to win. That being said, in the playoffs, this is Serge Ibaka's playoff averages: 11 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2 blocks.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
That'd be great off the bench. Think about potentially meeting up with Joel Embiid and just having another big guy, another dog that doesn't back down from anybody.
Yep.
And being able to throw that at Joel Embiid with Brook Lopez, with Bobby Portis, with Giannis, all the guys that you could throw at Joel Embiid by adding Sergey Baka to this roster. This is Sergey Baka's playoff percentages. Field goal percentage, 50.2. 3-point percentage, 38.7. Free throw percentage, 79.2. That is a reliable power forward who can defend, who's smart, he has experience. To me, this is almost reminiscent of the PJ Tucker deal. We got a guy who knows what to do on the court and has that killer mentality. Sergey Baka, he's tough. He's a dog, like PJ Tucker talks about. He's got the heart of
a champion, like you said. And he's been in situations that you don't need to coach him through. He understands how to manage himself in situations. Absolutely perfect deal. I don't understand why anybody would have any complaints about this.
Nope. Yeah, and
other than personal feelings.
And that's the thing too. Like people saying we shouldn't have traded Dante because Pat got hurt. First of all, guys can get hurt at any time. Second of all, there's going to be a lot of guys we can potentially bring in to fill that role. Also, Pat will be back before the playoffs. I'm just going to say that now. He'll be back before the playoffs.
Still sucks because I love watching Pat.
It sucks. I mean, I talked about it just on Wednesday that he's leading the Bucks in games played and he's shooting a great 3-point percentage. So, in addition to filling the role that Pat Connaughton plays for the Bucks in a potential buyout, just looking at guys in general that the Bucks could maybe grab to just kind of fill the roster out. They have 3 open roster spots. So I don't know if Jake, what kind of guys you are potentially looking at this, guys that they could bring in.
Okay, first, we're not bringing back Eric Bledsoe. Please, we're not bringing back Eric Bledsoe. I
saw that floated as a rumor.
I was like, please stop. And when you search stuff about potential buyouts, and one of the names that comes out is Eric Bledsoe. The familiarity with the offense. No, we saw what happened with that. That was not a project. That was a real thing. Like we really went for titles with him. Yeah. And I'm sorry, it's just not gonna work.
Playoff Bledsoe makes me sad.
Yeah. The first guy that I'm looking at, I'm sure you're looking at too, is Goran Dragic. I mean that you think about it, he has championship pedigree. He also played a ton of playoff games. He's a guy like he's better than Hill coming off the bench. If your standard is you're looking at it, okay, how can we have better production in certain areas? That's how you have to break it down. Goran Dragic is better than George Hill. They're similar in a lot of ways. I would think George Hill's a little bit better on defense, but Goran Dragic can just get on fire, and he's just a much better passer.
Yes.
He's just a better shooter, I think.
Let's say George Hill is almost more like a shooting guard playing point guard, but regardless
he's a
of
combo,
regardless of what the Bucks do at guard, because they obviously need help there. Like my dad just mentioned in the comments, they need help at guard. They do. Like George Hill is injured right now. That's why Liddell Wigington got so much playing time last night. But the Bucks absolutely do need help at guard. So I think Dragic is a good potential target.
Yeah. My second one, I put Thaddeus Young. This is just one kind of like Ibaka. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You can have a guy that can come in, and this actually for me is a PJ Tucker deal because he just can't score. I didn't expect PJ Tucker to come in and just score. I expected PJ Tucker to come in and be tough and play really good defense. I underestimated his ability to talk on defense. He's very good at talking on defense and communicating, but Thaddeus Young is he's 6'8" long. You could throw him at a guard, you could throw him at a big man, and I'm thinking about matching up with KD in the playoffs, and I was going to say that about Ibaka. A reason for having Ibaka on this team that could be really good is Ibaka played a lot of years with Durant, so he might know some of his sweet
That's true.
spots. Kind of where PJ, PJ was really good at studying people's favorite spots. Ibaka might already know that just being at practice with him and setting screens for him and understanding where he likes to be on offense. Now, KD's going to score. I'm not saying he's not going to score, but Thaddeus Young, he's been in the league for how long? He's a guy that could fight through screens because I got really annoyed last night watching us switch everything. That was super annoying.
That was really annoying.
But Young is a guy that'll fight through a screen and he can defend without fouling. So I thought Thaddeus Young made sense. And then my last guy was Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder is Those are the one that you see everywhere. Dennis Schroeder to
Yep.
Milwaukee is the one that you're seeing everywhere. And the potential with that is playing a little bit faster off the bench, which
Yeah.
I think could be great. You know, you have guys like Pat
Yeah.
coming off the bench. Bobby loves to run. And now you're thinking about Ibaka. Ibaka could be that secondary break guy where Bobby can
Yeah.
be the guy running to the rim. I mean, you think about the potential of a Dennis Schroeder pushing the break with a Giannis. Whoa. That's all
Yeah, I
I'm
was
gonna
gonna say, you look at facilitating, and if Drew's on the bench, the Bucks right now they don't have a facilitator when Drew's on the bench. They don't have a true point guard, a guy to run the offense, a guy that you trust to run the offense. And then
Yeah.
you think about Dennis Schroeder, his best years came with Budenholzer as his coach.
Yeah.
So there is familiarity there, versus saying if Schroeder wants to go back to LA and play behind Russell Westbrook, and he could potentially steal a starting job there, but I do see a potential Budenholzer Schroeder reunion, and there was already the mutual interest when the Bucks were trying to get him potentially from the Celtics.
Yeah.
Couple other names just to throw out there, whether it's big men or wing players. The Nets waived DeAndre Bembry. He's a small forward type guy. They needed to create a roster spot for Ben Simmons, so they waived DeAndre Bembry. If the Lakers are potentially looking to add somebody in the buyout, they could potentially buy out a guy like Kent Bazemore. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's long and he's athletic. Same with Kevin Knox. I've read that Atlanta could be potentially interested in buying out Kevin Knox. I'm not sure why they would. He's a pretty young guy, and he's shown some potential. But if they decide they just want to kind of kick their free agency off a little bit early, they could maybe buy out Kevin Knox. If the Bucks were to potentially go that route, I don't think he'd see any playoff minutes, but just a guy to potentially keep an eye on. And then two bigs that I'm keeping my eye on. One is a potential reunion with Robin Lopez, him being bought out by the Orlando Magic. And another Orlando Magic player to keep an eye on is Gary Harris. He's kind of a smaller shooting guard, but he could potentially help get the Bucks through the rest of the regular season with Pat Connaughton being out. And then
I've seen the Gary Harris stuff, not to interrupt you, but I've seen it, and it's so sad because he was so ultra talented when he first came into the league. When he was on Denver, and I was like, man,
Denver,
this guy's gonna be good. And then he started getting hurt, and it was like, man, what happened to that guy? And then you find out he's on Orlando.
And then he's in Orlando.
he's just on Orlando winning 20 games a year, losing 56.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And then the last guy that I'm keeping an eye on is Gorgy Jiang. He would basically be a backup center. He's going to camp out in the paint on defense and try to block some shots, and then he can spread the floor a little bit on offense. So he could be another potential backup big man that the Bucks could look to add. But guards is where the Bucks are going to need help, especially now with Pat Connaughton out. So keep an eye on Schroeder, Dragic, DeAndre Bembry are probably going to be the three that are going to be the most likely guys that the Bucks look to add. And then hopefully George Hill can get healthy and they can have a backup point guard and a little less Liddell Wigington. So, all right. I don't know if you have any other guys that you're looking at.
No, I just have a question. What the hell are the Hawks and the Knicks doing? I have no idea what the Hawks and Knicks are doing.
I don't know.
They just have no idea. They're just trading guys with potential, and they're not playing them, and they're just I don't understand. And then the Knicks go and they beat the Warriors on the road last night.
I don't know.
It's weird.
And they the rumors that they were interested in moving Cam Reddish. It's like, why did you even trade for him?
Why'd you? Yeah, exactly. And then the Hawks trade for Knox, and then now they're gonna waive him. And none of it makes sense, honestly. I don't know what they're doing, but
I don't know.
It is what it is.
Yeah, keep an eye on those names. Keep an eye on those names. And the Ibaka trade definitely benefits the Bucks, even though we lost Dante.
Yeah, losing Dante sucks, but Ibaka will be great. We will all love Ibaka's toughness and when he blocks shots and hits big-time threes. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to playoff Ibaka.
It's going to be nasty, dude.
That's good stuff.
Ibaka and Bobby together. I'm telling you, it's going to be lit. It's going to be lit.
All right, man. Well, I will see you again on Wednesday then, and we'll talk about the Bucks-Suns game a little more in detail, and hopefully we have a little more concrete news on Brook Lopez. Connaughton is 3 to 6 weeks, so we'll see. He'll be back before the playoffs. So yeah, we'll see what the Bucks do in the buyout market. But
Yeah.
those are the names to keep an eye on. So we'll see you on
All right, man.
Wednesday.
Take care.